So that means I went to a lot of college, a lot of school. And that's actually one of the ways that I met Camry. So that's pretty cool. I got a full ride rodeo scholarship out of high school. First, I went to Northwestern Oklahoma State University and rode for the Rangers. And then after 2 years of prerequisites at Northwestern, I transferred to Southwestern Oklahoma State University because I got into their College of Pharmacy, and I rodeoed for them for 3 more years. Kind of a cool little known fact about college rodeo, but if you're in a doctorate program or going for your master's, they give you a fifth year. So that's pretty special and pretty fun. So I got to actually have 5 years of college rodeo. I competed in all of the women's events, barrel racing, goat tying, breakaway roping, team roped one time with Sage, but that was the end of our team roping career. We weren't real good at it, if we're being honest. So it was pretty fun. We had a lot of fun college rodeoing, and those scholarships I earned college rodeoing got me to graduate with a doctorate and everything debt free. So that was really fun, and really special. So once I got to use my rodeo background and my rodeo skills to actually pay for my college. So that was pretty awesome. And then graduate and go out in the real world and take a real job. And I'm what they call a relief pharmacist now. So that's actually where I basically fill in, kind of like a substitute teacher does. So I fill in for other pharmacists when they can't be there. And that gives me some freedoms to still rodeo and do that professionally as well. So it's kind of nice.
That's awesome. So, how did you get started in rodeo? A lot of these kids here are pretty young and they're just figuring out the ropes. So, what's your story and why?
Yeah, we like to joke that I was pretty well born on the back of a horse, and it's really not far from true. My dad, Ted Kimsey, is a 17-time Wrangler Bullfight Barrel Man at the National Finals Rodeo. He's worked it like 19 times. So we definitely, I think I attended my first NFR when I was like 2 weeks old. So it's been kind of a family tradition for sure. My mom, Jennifer, she's incredible. She was a runner up to Miss Rodeo Texas, barrel racer. And she's really the glue that holds our family together. She not only pushed us in and out of the arena, but like she really makes us better people every day. So she's super, super special human. And they gave us opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to get in the arena as kids, whether it was starting out on a stick horse and going to these little local play days, or once we got into junior high and high school rodeo, we never missed one. They made sure that we were able to go. And the the kicker on that though is they also made sure that if we were going to go, that we practiced. And so we had a set number of times a week we had to have each one of our horses ridden. We had a set number of times a week we had to rope calves. We had a set number of times a week we had to rope the dummy without missing in a row. And so it was like, not only did they give us the opportunity, but they also showed us that with the opportunity, there still comes a ton of responsibility, and that nobody's going to hand it to us, and that we were going to have to work our tail ends off for it. So I was so lucky and so blessed in that area that we were just all three of us kids. We were really raised right. And when I say that, I mean our parents showed us that participation ribbons aren't going to be good enough in life, and that this life can be just about anything you want it to be. If you're dreaming gold buckles, it can be that, but you've got to put in the work.
That is so true. And we talk about that a lot, don't we, guys? A lot about putting in the work and coming up with strategies and setting goals and not just setting the goal, but how we're going to get there because you can't achieve those goals if you don't have a way. You can't just talk
Right.
about it. You have to actually do the action. So that's rodeo. What about your trick riding? Like, or was trick riding first, or how did
No,
that entertainment take?
rodeo was first, and then trick riding came secondary to rodeo. Like I said, I started rodeoing in the five and unders and went all the way up. Then, whenever I got a little bit older, I was probably 8 years old, 8, 9 years old, when I started really getting very, very interested in the trick riders and what was happening at these rodeos that I was going to with my dad. One of the first trick riders that I remember becoming just totally amazed by is Melissa Navarre. And so she was traveling with her group, the Flying Arena Stars, whenever I was a little girl, and I was just obsessed. Sage and I were always out at the barn doing something probably not very safe on our horses, like trying to do flips off of them and everything else. And so my mom was like, well, if y'all are going to do this, you're going to learn to do it right. So she sent us to Colorado to the Vold Ranch. Karen Vold, Linda Schultz have actually a trick riding camp, Red Top Ranch Trick Riding School. And so we went when I was probably 10 years old for the first time, would have made Sage like 7.5, 8. Trey was young, too young to participate, like probably 3 at the time. So we went up there, and my mom really thought that it would be one of those things that she would go let us get a taste of, and we would just be done with it, and we'd have satisfied that itch and we'd move on. And it was kind of the opposite. We were totally hooked. We went every year for the next, oh gosh, I don't even know. If we could make it, I would say probably at least 5 to 7 years easily. We had Trey hold off until he was 5, but he started trick riding at 5 years old with us and started performing that young. Like he was part of the show almost out of the gate. So I started training at 10, and by 15 worked my first pro rodeo under my dad's PRCA card in his act. So
wow, I did not realize that. So when you did that at 15, was Trey and Sage in it as well, or was that just you by yourself?
yes. So the very first time we ever did the act, we did it as part of dad's act. And so we kind of ran it as almost a halfway comedy routine. And we would come in, Sage and I, and do a couple of professional looking tricks. And dad would come in on his clown pony and say something similar to, wait, you said these people are making money. I want to make money. I can do this too. And they would give him a couple of gag tricks to do, such as the Oklahoma flyaway, where he, went around on his horse and fluttered his little wings and flew away. Or they would do, just all kinds of little gaggy stuff. Well, when they would ask him to do something hard, like under the belly, he would run down the line, and the line is the people that line up to keep our horses going the right direction. And he would stop at this little boy in the center of the line that was holding the tape. And that little boy was Trey. And so Trey would be in full regalia, pull off his jacket, steal Ted's horse when Ted literally crawled off of her and went under her belly, and do one of his little tricks. And that was Trey's introduction to the act at 5 years old. So he kind of always stole the show, still does.
That's awesome. And that's got to be so cool being able to do that as a family.
Oh, it was so special. I think that, we weren't a big family growing up. We lost both of our grandparents on my dad's side pretty early. I think I was in 4th grade and then 6th grade. So that was kind of sad. And he's an only child. My mom's only sister lives in California. So we didn't have a ton of, that big family background. So we were a super tight knit family. Like the 5 of us that everybody knows is pretty much what we grew up with. So it was pretty special. We spent a lot of time together. Some of it was all smiles and cheers and hoorahs. Some of it was the practices that don't go as good that ended in blood and tears, but that's family for you. So that's the reality. So
yes, I'm sure. Can any of you guys relate to that? The practices that don't always go so good with brothers and sisters? I think it happens to all of us. For sure.
We always kind of felt like in the practice pen, if we weren't pushing ourselves to the absolute max, we weren't accomplishing anything. And so we were trying to get our best ever every single time. And that, especially when we started trick riding, meant new tricks, faster speeds, all of that stuff every time. And I can tell you guys that that may not be the safest way to learn trick riding. So word to the wise, learn from my experience. Maybe don't have to be the fastest, craziest trick every single practice.
Yeah. Have you gotten injured very many times trick riding?
Oh, definitely. They always say in rodeo, it's not if, it's when. And that definitely applies in the trick riding arena. It's usually stuff that you can't account for. One of my most recent injuries was some ribs, and my horse fell on some unsure footing at a rodeo, and there's nothing you can do about it. I was dragging underneath him in a suicide drag. We were in California, and he lost his footing and fell down. And so no one's really at fault there. There's nothing you can really do, and it just happens. So you just try your best to get out of the situation and learn what to do to recover from it, what comes next. So
Right. Would do any of you guys want to see one of her videos of her trick riding? Do you have one specifically that you like on YouTube, Dusta? I've got them pulled up. Just
go
what
for it.
came up.
Whatever you like.
Okay, we'll try. This one looks like it's at maybe Wahoo, Nebraska.
Okay.
Did you do Wahoo?
Yep.
Okay, let me see if I can screen share.
I'm not good about updating YouTube, so I'm not real sure what's on there. So I'm like, sure, yeah, go for it.
Okay, here we go. Can you guys see that? Can you guys all see that?
I can't, but I don't know.
You can or you can't?
I can't, but my internet is bad,
Okay,
so that could
just
be my internet.
They can see it. Let me see if I can fix it. You still can't see it, Dusta?
No, it says Camry Widmer started sharing screen, but I can't see it.
Oh, says it's still sharing. Everybody else can see it? Yeah?
I bet it's my internet.
We can see it. It's just kind of slow.
Don't know how to.
Oh, now it's doing things.
Where's my chat at?
So fun fact about Wahoo, but it's the hottest place on earth in July, which is when they have their rodeo. It's about 155% humidity, 100 degrees at 8 o'clock at night when they start.
Yeah,
Pretty
hold
good.
on. Okay, there we go. Okay, let me see if I can. For some reason, my chat's not showing up. I haven't done this screen sharing thing very much, so I'm not very good at it. Stop sharing. Oops. Does anybody have any suggestions on that? That's right. Okay, so everybody can see it except you. That's weird.
It's fine.
Yeah, let's see if I can try this one more time. This to work. I'm not doing it on the same screen. I have two screens, so that might be the problem. We'll try it one more time, and if that doesn't work, then where did it go? Screen sharing, screen share two. There we go. Can everybody see that now? Still nothing, Dusta?
I think mine's just slow because it finally pulled up earlier. I think it's just my bad internet.
Okay.
We can see the YouTube video.
We'll go ahead and play it.
So that's Ike in an Apache, Dusta.
Oh.
Yeah, Mom's here.
Way. Hey, Ma. I could see your name. I figured you were creeping.
Of course. That's Ike. You just did an Apache, and you're by yourself, which makes it very difficult.
It does. And trick riding is usually kind of a group sport, especially traditionally, like whenever you look at groups from way back when, girls back then always rode in big groups. There'd be at least 3 to 4 riders everywhere you went. And basically just with the evolution of the game, and when we do trick riding at rodeos, we do what they call bidding, which is us a committee hires us to come in as the entertainment. So I'm always working for money. I never trick ride for free. I'll tell you guys that up front. It's what I'm paid to do. It's my job. And so my neck is valuable, my horse is valuable, and it's something that I'm paid to do. And so with that, lots of committees anymore can't afford to hire 3 or 4 girls to all come, bring their own rig, that kind of thing. So it's kind of evolutionized the game where lots and lots of times now you see 1, maybe 2 girls. When you see 3 or 4 girls, that committee went all out and they deserve a big pat on the back because they worked really hard to raise enough money to have 3 to 4 girls at your rodeo. So little insider trading there on how kind of the game works when it comes to trick riding and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so like these guys, they come and go to rodeos as they can when they're close to home and stuff. How can they show their appreciation to the committee? Do you have any recommendations?
Oh, for sure. So one of the easiest things is just to tell people what you loved about the rodeo. Anymore, especially with Facebook, it is so easy to get on Facebook and say, "Oh my gosh, the entertainment at the rodeo tonight was so amazing. That girl that hung underneath her horse was incredible. I hope you have her back next year." I always
Mhm.
love that. My favorite is when I get to return to rodeos because you do meet so many people and you want to see them again. And so lots of times rodeos switch out their entertainment every single year, which means that I don't get to see lots of the same faces year after year, which is very different than growing up with my dad as a clown. My dad went to lots of the same rodeos year after year, and we made so many lifelong friends at those rodeos. So it's nice because I get to see lots of the same faces as far as contestants and things like that go. But when I go to towns and meet people, I love getting to go back to those same towns 2, 3 years in a row or after a year off to get to see all the friends I made the first time I was there.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And even as a contestant, and like as you guys know, when you rodeo, and when you travel a lot, you become like a family, and you really appreciate seeing those people and getting that downtime between rodeos or between events to really make those memories. So that's a perk everywhere we go, and definitely getting hired again is fantastic. But you don't just get hired to be a trick writer; you also get hired because of lickety split.
Yes, Lickety. He's the most popular member of the team for sure. Lickety is also probably the newest member. I've had Lickety for let me think. I think I got him in 2017, so that would be 5 years ago, 4 years ago. My math's not great when I'm off work. So, and he's so special. He is, we call him the not a one trick pony because he's not. He knows all kinds of different tricks. He's super smart. He practically truly can speak English. He knows so many English words. So, he's a pretty special little member of the team.
Yeah. Can you guys see him on here? You see him on the screen sharing? Oh my goodness, I'm not good at this. I'm trying
No,
to
we see some kids in the mud.
some kids in the mud. Okay, I'm screen sharing the wrong screen then. Let's see if I can
It's
fix
close
that.
though. Kids in the mud, lickety split, practically the same thing.
Yes, we need the. Okay,
He's a pretty big hit with kids. I can see your screen, I think. It says
here we go.
Dusta Kimzey and Lickety Split Cowboy Classic Rodeo.
Can you guys see it now? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. So we don't have the sound on, but you can see Lickety Split is not very big. Lickety Split has a couple of performance pony company things himself. So we're pretty excited about that. What made you decide to get into this part of the entertainment? Oh, can you hear me, Dusta?
No, I missed that.
Oh, sorry. What made you decide to get into this part of the entertainment?
Lickety Split fell in my lap, quite honestly. My good friends, Jerry Wayne and Judy Olson, helped mentor me early in my career. They're out of South Dakota, and Jerry Wayne and his family are some of the greatest animal trainers and performers of all time. And so Jerry Wayne Olson actually trained Lickety Split. He was one of his last animals he trained before his retirement from pro rodeo. And Jerry Wayne had retired about 2 years before I bought Lickety Split. And Jerry Wayne he was done traveling. He had a really beautiful, famous Palomino horse named Justin Boots at the time. And he had two main acts, Justin Boots and Lickety Split. And so Lickety was only like maybe 8 years old at the time. And so Lickety wasn't quite ready to retire with Jerry Wayne. And they had thought about it a lot. And they called me up and said, "I think you're the perfect person for this pony." And I was kind of like, well, I've always loved him, but I'm sure I couldn't afford him. And, I appreciate you thinking of me. But they were like, "No, we think you can." So, long story short, my mom and I'm telling you guys, it's always my mom. All these stories start with my mom. We drove 15 hours in my 40-foot, 4-horse living quarters trailer to South Dakota to get about a 2.5-foot pony. But it was so fun. We spent a couple days up with Jerry Wayne learning all about Lickety Split and what kind of makes him tick, how to give him his cues, because everything that Lickety Split does is off of a trained cue. He literally truly does speak English. He can do most of his act completely at liberty with you don't have to use a whip. You don't have to use any kind of device of any kind. He knows what he's doing when he's doing it. He's also smart enough to know when we're performing and when we're practicing. And I'm sure you guys can kind of relate that rodeo, but your intensity level at a rodeo is just very different than it is at practice. And that is for sure lickety split. He is a game time performer. He is hilarious. He gets so into it. So he loves the crowds. He loves everything about it. And one cool thing about Lickety is I think it was the first full year I had him. I got hurt really bad trick riding. I had an accident out of a 1-foot stand and drug from my horse halfway around the arena, not on purpose. And I completely trashed out my left knee. So that next night, I obviously couldn't trick ride. And I actually performed the lickety split act from crutches. And horses are just so special that, like they just know. And normally, as you probably saw in the video, when Lickety comes out, he likes to pull on me, and he's really strong for a little guy. And he walked out there so quiet, went through the whole act so quiet. He never pulled on me one time. And he let me do the whole stinking act on crutches for Ashland, Missouri 1 year at their pro rodeo. So it was pretty cool. He's been pretty good to me through everything.
Wow, that's really impressive. And like he's just so darn cute, and to build that bond with them. And I'm sure that you guys, a lot of you have ponies and horses, can definitely relate to having this kind of relationship with a horse and with a pony, and what they do know. And it's one thing that I try to remind people too, like if you're having a bad day and your horse is acting up, or if you're having a bad day and your horse is all of a sudden really good, pay attention to those cues, because they are reading us all the time. And that's why they are so good at being therapy animals too, because if you choose to look at it that way, they'll dang sure take care of you and teach you a lot about life.
100%. Him and Ike are both. Big Ike is my big yellow trick riding horse that you guys got to see in the first video. He's the horse that we did the movie Cowgirls and Angels 2 Dakota's Summer with. He's on the cover of that movie. And
did you guys know that? He's been in a movie too?
Yeah. So he's pretty special. He's normally super ornery and cantankerous, but he has this heart for, it's the wildest thing. But like I'm telling you, if he sees someone that has some special needs or
lost her. What do you guys think of that video? Until she gets signed in. Yeah, Kenley, you look pretty excited about it. What's your favorite part so far? Somebody unmute. What's your favorite part?
We're shy over here, but Harper really is fascinated with the trick riding, and Cowgirls and Angels is one of her favorite movies.
Did you know that Dusta was in it? You're talking to a movie star right now. We'll get her logged back in here. Who here wants to be a trick rider someday?
I do.
Who said that? Charlotte? Foresters? Okay, we're getting everybody in here. All right, there she is. Just got to unmute yourself.
is it back?
There you go. We got you now.
Okay. I tried to change which internet it's on, but it's not working. I guess if it does it again, I'll go to my phone because I know it'll work.
Okay, that's
Maybe.
fine. So we've got some kids that are pretty excited and they love trick riding. So
yes,
yeah, they're loving it. Awesome. So when you were looking for a trick riding horse, what are you looking for?
So it really depends on where you're at and what your goals are. Honestly, I wasn't looking for two of my 3 horses that have been kind of my career horses. I wasn't looking for when I found them. I would have never picked them, honestly. Big Ike, I went looking for. Whenever I was looking for Big Ike, I wanted something that was big and strong, fast, and I wanted something Palomino with a white face and chrome. Like I told you guys before, my childhood hero growing up, trick riding wise, was Melissa Navarre. And she had this Palomino horse named Concho, and he was actually a steer wrestling horse. And so the thing that you don't think about when you think about trick riding horses, you would think they would be really broke and really gentle. Well, a really broke, really gentle horse wants to take care of you and tends to stop and check on you when you're hanging off the side of it or jumping off and on it. It's not a very natural thing for a broke, gentle horse to keep running. So, goat tying horses, steer wrestling horses, horses that have just way too much run, those horses tend to work better for trick riding because they'll basically just keep moving. It's kind of a struggle to get a horse to learn that keep moving factor if they don't naturally have a little bit of runoff in them. So that's kind of when I'm looking at horses, I like them to have lots and lots of go, but I'm also at breakneck speed all the time. I'm not really learning tricks at this point in my career, that kind of thing. When I was first learning and getting started, we pony horses a lot, and we use just old broke, dog broke, gentle horses, and you just pony them slow, and that's how you kind of learned and got in your tricks. But once I'm looking for a horse to go perform on, I want something that fires really hard, and so that's kind of what I look for anymore. My first little horse I ever had, his name was Snips, and he was a goat tying horse, and he wasn't very good at it. He was quite awful, actually, and we just had him at one of my dad's rodeos because we were leaving straight from my rodeo to go to dad's rodeo. And my teacher, Karen Vold, was there, and she was like, "Well, let's practice." And I'm like, "I don't have a horse, Karen. Like, I don't have one." And she's like, "Well, what's that horse?" And I was like, "Oh no, he bites, he kicks, he bucks sometimes, he always rears up. Like, he doesn't want to be a trick riding horse." And as it would turn out, trick riding was exactly what he wanted to be and do. So I rode Snips for the first 15 years of my career. He was about 14 something hands, not very big, not big enough to be a trick riding horse, and all the things, but he was perfect. He ran so hard. He tried so hard. He did right by you every single time. He could feel you. One thing about trick riding horses, it doesn't really take very long to get them to go around the pattern. It takes a really long time to get them to go around it and understand what's actually happening in your tricks and how they need to hold your weight and that kind of thing. And especially to get them to understand when something might be wrong. And so that was one of the things that made Snips so special is for whatever reason, he always just seemed to just know. One of my trick riding partners when I was younger was Haley Gansel. She's Haley Proctor now. And Haley and I decided before one of our first pro rodeos together, which was Claremore, Oklahoma, that we really needed to do a hippodrome tail drag, that was going to be the big ticket seller for this rodeo. The problem with that is neither one of us and neither one of our horses had ever done a tail drag. So the night before the rodeo, we decide we're going to teach her and teach Snips how to do a tail drag, and I'll do a hippodrome, which is when you stand up on them. And so I'll do a hippodrome, hold the reins, hold on to Snips, and she's going to do a tail drag off the back. So 2 girls, 1 horse, double trick. And we got into it that first night at practice, and I can't remember if the strap broke or if she just fell to the side. But in the tail drag, everything is square with the horse's rump, right? Well, Haley ended up off of his rump and on the side and in the fence. So her head is like about to bounce off of this arena fence. And Snips just takes like 3 big steps in, like he's trained absolutely not to do, and slows down and lets her get back up. And we were both just like, we love this horse so much. He's so special. So that's one of my fun Snip stories. He's the best.
Wow, that's intense. Like that has to be such an adrenaline rush.
It for sure was. It was really hard to convince her that she needed to try it again after that, but she's a trooper and she did. And we did it at the rodeo that weekend.
That's awesome. What's your favorite move to do?
My favorites, oh gosh. So I have a couple favorites. My favorite crowd pleasing trick that everyone loves every time is the hippodrome. It's where you stand up on them. I usually do mine. My husband just said, "I thought I was your favorite." Thanks, babe. He is my favorite. It always is the crowd favorite. I usually do mine with a American flag, and sometimes even throw in fireworks. So it always gets the crowd going. They love it. I love it. But one of my tricks my first trick I ever fell in love with was the suicide drag. It was my favorite from go. I love having my hands and my hair dragging the dirt while my horse is just basically running off. It's a really sweet feeling. I love it. And then one of the tricks that I'm most proud of learning to do is the shoulder stand. And it was a really hard one for me to first commit to because, like I said, I didn't really have learner horses. I went straight to Snips, who ran like he was Secretariat every single time. And so for me to learn a shoulder stand, I had to just do it. And that was really intimidating the first time when you actually like let go of everything except for your strap you're holding on to and throw yourself down up there. So it's kind of nuts, but totally worth it. And one of my favorite tricks to this day for sure.
Yeah. What kind of working out do you have to do? Like, it's got to take a lot of strength to do all of this.
Yeah. So when I was young, I didn't do any. And now I get up 3 days a week at 5 a.m. and have a personal trainer. So on top of my normal practice and riding and everything else. So yeah, it's a big life change, 15 to 30 for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
lots and lots of strength and conditioning, weights and core.
Yes. And your
Has been
horses,
very
how often do you ride them?
So in season, or getting them ready for season, the rule at our house was always they had to be ridden at least 3 times a week. That was just always my mom's hard and fast rule. And so that's still kind of what I try to keep. The last year was crazy. With 2020, we had almost no rodeos. I went from over 100 performances in 2019 to 7 performances in 2020. So last year they didn't get rode hardly at all. They pretty much took a year off, and they've kind of maintained that so far in 2021. But I did get to go do the Enid Extreme Bulls the other day, and it looks like I'm going to have one show in June, and then July, August is going to have somewhat return to normalcy. So during that, if we have rodeos every weekend, I exercise them lightly once or twice during the week. But other than that, I'm basically resting them because they have to give me so much. When you think about it, most performance horses, calf horses, barrel horses, they're in the arena for less than 20 seconds all the time. My horses are out there for 5 minutes. Our shows runs 3 to 5 minutes everywhere we go. And so they're out there running, blowing, gunning, holding me up while I'm hanging off the side of them for 5 minutes at a time. And so they require a lot of rest and recuperation for their muscles. One thing that I found really interesting as I got older and kind of realized is like my barrel horses require the most maintenance on their joints. My trick riding horses require a lot more maintenance on their muscles and way less on their joints. It's not near as hard on their joints as what like the stopping turning of calf roping or barrel racing is, but it's a lot harder on like their muscles and their backs. And so we do a lot more like massage, chiro, and that kind of thing, and a lot less, thankfully, joint supplements, joint injections, that kind of thing with them. So just kind of a fun
That's
fact.
fun to know. So then are you taking barrel horses with you when you're going to these rodeos as well?
I do. It kind of depends on my schedule. So a couple of years ago, I started rodeoing primarily in the Great Lakes circuit, which is like Camry's home in Iowa. I can't even remember how many states there is, but it's
I think
like
there's
Iowa
9.
with 9. Yeah, it's huge.
Mhm.
Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, that kind of thing. I'm from Oklahoma, so obviously that's a super long ways away. When I go and stay in Iowa for the summer, it's about a 13-hour drive the first time I drive it. So it kind of depends on how many shows I have and how many trick riding horses I have to have as to how many barrel horses I can take. But I almost always have at least one barrel horse with me and am usually entering barrels as well.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, I have some more questions, but I'll let them ask some questions if anybody has
Okay.
one. Kenley, you've got one.
What you got?
Kenley, do you want to unmute so you can ask?
What was your fastest barrel time?
Ooh. So in college, we rodeoed in a bunch of really little arenas, really little. And oh my gosh, I can't even remember for sure, but I think I was 11.9 at Alva maybe one year, and that was like, holy cow, it was so fast. But it's kind of crazy. In college, you rodeo in some really small arenas, so it's not like big arenas, they're little. And so we had like 12-second times all the time in college.
Yeah. What about goat time? What was your fastest goat time?
My fastest goat run ever was at Manhattan, Kansas, and it was 5.9 seconds.
My fastest ever was at Manhattan too. It was a 6:1.
Yes.
Okay, Charlotte.
Yeah.
Where was the first arena you performed trick riding?
It was at my hometown, Cheyenne, Oklahoma. We only have a pro rodeo once every 5 years. It's kind of a special one. So we have a old settlers reunion and it rotates towns. And so we only get to have it once every 5 years. And that was my first one I ever worked. And one of these days, it'll probably be the last one too.
Yeah. All right, we've got the Forrester family. Mom, you can help if you know what her question is.
She wanted to know who is your favorite trick riding horse?
My favorite trick riding horse is Snips. He died last year at 27 or 8, I think. But he's my favorite of all time. There'll never be another one as good as him. So.
Okay, let's do the Wolf family.
What is your favorite horse altogether?
Ooh, that one's hard. Well, Snips was my favorite trick riding horse for sure, but I had a really special horse growing up named Sugar. And I rode Sugar from the time I was 8 until I was 18, and I'm still riding her babies today. And so she's maybe my favorite horse of all time. She took me to the national high school finals 4 times. I rode her first baby in college at college rodeos, and I'm riding one of her last babies today. She's going to get to have her first rodeo this weekend. So,
Wow, that's exciting.
yeah.
Harper. You're good. We can hear you.
What was it like to make the movie?
What was it like to make the movie?
The movies, so movies are kind of different. I don't know that they're my favorite thing or my least favorite thing I've ever done. They're kind of like hurry up and wait. They tell you you're going to need to be in costume and makeup at 6:45 in the morning, and they may not shoot your scene until 7 o'clock at night. So that part of movies was not my favorite because I kind of like to keep a tight schedule. But it was really, really, really cool. One, getting to meet the actors and actresses. On the first Cowgirls and Angels movie, James Cromwell and Bailey Madison became 2 of my very favorite people. And then when we shot the second movie, Keith Carradine was the male lead, and he was the nicest, most genuine human. So that was really cool. And it was really neat because there was more than one trick rider on the scene. So I got to hang out with all my trick riding buddies. The first one was me, Haley, that I talked about earlier, Haley Gansel Proctor, and then Leah Self. And then for the second one, they brought in even more trick riders. So we added Ginger Duke and Lindy Neely. And the second movie, I was on set for right at a month. It was in Louisiana. I got to hang out on the Circle T Ranch. I made some lifelong friends with them. Actually, Jacob Talley is leading the world right now in the bulldogging, and that's his family's ranch. And so we met in 2011 when we filmed the movie at his house. So yeah, you make lifelong friends, and it's just kind of a small world once you get out in it. It's a great big world, but it's a small one too.
Yeah, Jacob Talley has a really cool story too, and his podcast is on the rodeo.com podcast. So if you guys want to listen to that, he's doing amazing this year, and just how he's gotten there, how fast he's gotten there is pretty amazing. So check that out.
They're awesome, awesome people. His mom, Amy, is a lot like my mom. She's the glue. She's a good one. So
Very cool. Lillian,
Do you have a favorite trick or performance that you did with your pony before?
ooh, my pony. He's had some really special ones. Probably the most favorite special one was when we did it on crutches that time. That was pretty special. And my most favorite trick that Lickety Split does is his lay down. Laying down's a really not natural thing for it to teach a horse. And then when Lickety Split lays down, he lays down and then he runs through several of his tricks while he's laying down. While he's laying down, he gives me a kiss. He can take we share a blanket and he steals the blanket. And what else does Lick do? Oh, and then he sits up. And sitting's a really, really hard thing to teach a horse, especially to stay in, because it's a very unnatural position for them. You see horses laying down all the time, but you very rarely see a horse just sitting up like a dog. And so it's pretty neat that Lickety does that so well.
yeah. Jay,
I lap so then great trick horse.
He would be a great trick horse.
Rat Patrol
Yeah.
would?
Mhm.
His pony's name is Rat Patrol.
Nice.
Very cool. You have any other questions, Jay?
No.
Okay.
No.
No. Okay. What's we've got a couple more, but how do you keep your mindset when you're at an event and you're doing your trick riding event and then lickety split and then you're running barrels, and how do you bounce from one to the next without getting frazzled or overwhelmed or anything like that?
Yeah, so I would say probably a lot of practice. Growing up, I did everything. I came from a really small high school. So in my high school, everybody did everything. I had 19 in my senior class. So we all played basketball, we did softball, we did FFA, we did 4-H. If it was a thing, we did it. And so I had learned really early time management and compartmentalizing. And then I carried that into high school rodeo because I competed in, I think it was 6 events at high school rodeo, cutting, everything. And my mom always had a 5-minute rule. Like, we were only allowed to be mad about a run or anything else for 5 minutes. And we were never allowed to be mad in the arena, ever. And that still applies. If she sees one of us on the Cowboy Channel throwing a fit in the arena, we're going to get a call from mom. So that was kind of how I got my all around cowgirl mentality early. It was like, get over it, you have another event to compete in. Get over it, you have another event to compete in, because you couldn't let one bad run make your whole day bad. And so that was kind of like my first like real time management and move on and staying focused and staying in the game. So it came really natural to me to start doing everything else. I set myself up for success early in the day. I have all my stuff as organized as I can get it. My husband's laughing because he's super, super OCD and organized, and I'm kind of a hot mess. I know where everything is, but don't mess with my mess because it's a mess. But I kind of have my mess organized, chaos, before I go, and make sure I have everything that each one of my horses is going to need well beforehand. I start preparing for rodeos probably, well, honestly, like days out, obviously, but like I would say I start perf time preparing for rodeos at least 4 hours out every night to make sure I have everything I'm going to need for the evening. So
Wow, that's a lot. Kinley,
that's it. Will says that's why he takes his own separate trailer so he can be organized.
it's a lot of stuff to all put together between your
It's
stuff
a
and his
lot of
stuff.
glitter.
Yeah, I bet there's
a lot of glitter.
Kinley, do you have a question?
What is your favorite pin to rodeo in?
My favorite pin. Ooh, that's a good question. Spooner, Wisconsin is one of my favorite pins I've ever been to. It's huge. And so when we trick ride, usually you'll only have, I would say, 5 to 6 seconds to get around the whole arena. And in Spooner, you have like 15 because it's so big. So that was really fun to get in that big arena. And I got to trick ride there with one of my best friends, Sadie Lynn, and we used 3 horses and we traded them all out all night so that they could keep running really fast and really hard. And that was a really, really fun arena. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I love Spooner. Spooner's always been a fun rodeo to go to, and the crowd gets really into it, and their whole town supports
So wild.
it. And the louder you can get, the more fun it is for everybody.
Absolutely, for sure.
Sadie, what's your question?
What have you got scared by doing a trick before?
Oh yeah, all the time. All the time. Honestly, if you're not a little bit scared when you're trick riding, something's probably really wrong with you. But it's more of an excited scared. It's not like a fear scared. It's like a excited and want to do good kind of a scare. And it's just like, do any of you ride roller coasters? It's like that kind of a scared. Like it's like a fun scared. So yeah, it's scary, but it's fun.
Yes. Charlotte.
Is there a school you recommend?
Absolutely. So the best trick riding school still to this day is the one I started at, which is Red Top Ranch. It is Karen Vold, Linda Schultz, and when you look at today's top trick riders going up and down the world, Madison, McDonald, Thomas, all of us, we all have some background training with that school and that camp. So it's a really special place, and I highly 10 out of 10 recommend it. There's some really good clinicians out there today. Maddie being one of them. Madison McDonald Thomas is one of my best friends in the game. And she does probably as many lessons or clinics as anybody right now. And she does a great job. Ginger Duke does a great job teaching. So there's a lot of really good girls out there teaching, but you got to be careful because you don't want to fall into getting into a situation that's going to make you unsafe. Anybody that I've mentioned, I promise you will do right by you and your horse and keep you as safe as possible doing a dangerous sport. So
Yeah, and that's really important. You got to stay safe and have a good support system and a good crowd. So definitely. Anybody else have any questions? You guys are running out of them already. Do you have any other suggestions for them, Dusta? Some of these kids are pretty excited about getting started in trick riding, and they're all involved in rodeo at different levels. And I know Riley and Peyton, they're a little bit older, and Lillian than some of them, but I think they'd love to hear a little bit about Sage and his success too, because
that's actually kind of what I was just thinking. Is all 3 of us growing up did just about anything and everything that we could do. And that's one thing I 10 out of 10 recommend to everybody. Lots of times I think you see kids specialize, and that's great too. But I really believe today that Sage is the bull rider he is because he showed cutting horses, and that's incredible for your balance. He trick rode. That's incredible for your balance. He did all of these other things. His ability now to go on camera and not be nervous and everything. Well, we had years of that in 4-H, in FFA, in high school rodeo. He was the national junior high student president. And so like we got some experiences there just even growing up that made such a huge difference in the path our lives took later. And for sure, just get involved in, if you want to do it and try it. If you just you really wanted to try doing jumping horses for a while, try it. It's going to make you a better rider. If you think you might want to show cutting horses, do it. It's going to make you a better rider.
Yeah, exactly. Even just going and taking a lesson, you don't have to necessarily invest in it a lot to begin with, as long as you still just try part of it. Just try it out, see what you think, and go from there. Oh, we must have lost her again. And then once she comes back on, Grace, I'll let you ask your question. You want to come on camera, Grace? Oh, you're out riding right now.
Yeah, I actually am.
Awesome. Very cool. We'll get Dusta back on here. And then Kenley, we'll let you ask your next question. Okay. That's a pretty cool family story, isn't it? Lots and lots of success. Lots of hard work, lots of long hours. Lots of camaraderie. Are you guys, what's the one thing that you guys are learning from this? Peyton and Riley, can you give us one thing that you're learning so far?
We're learning that if you want to get better, you have to put a lot of time in so that you can get good at what you want to be good at.
Yeah. Awesome. I loved your guys' article. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
Who else? Lillian, what have you learned?
I've learned that you've got to go try something new if you want to get better at what you're doing now or learn something else.
Yeah. Very good. What about you, Aubrey?
That you have to work really hard to be able to do it. You can't get it thrown. It's kind of, you're kind of told you have to work for it. You can't just go and do it. It's not like there.
Right. Lots of hard work. Okay, Grace, what's your question?
So it wasn't exactly a question, I guess, for that reason, for her reason of like trying show jumping and all that sort of stuff to just make you perform as a better rider and all that. I ended up trying 100 jumper and I actually really enjoy it and I do that a lot now.
That's
Very
awesome.
cool. Yeah, very neat. What have you learned, Grace?
So, hold on, I'll turn out the wind. So what I learned is that, yeah, like everybody else said, you have to and work hard at something to actually go on and be good.
That's right, exactly. All right, Kenley.
I was gonna ask her, how does she get her nerves away?
Great question.
That's a really good question. So one of my big things to get rid of my nerves is I pray. I'm pretty religious, and so I pray every time. Another big thing that gets rid of my nerves is singing. It sounds crazy, but if I just kind of like do a little dance, sing a little song, that really helps me kind of level myself back out, come back down to earth. And when I'm really struggling, I take a really big deep breath in my nose. I hold it for as long as I can, which I try to do 10 seconds, but when I'm really nervous, it's really hard to do 10 seconds. And then I blow that out my mouth because as a doctor of pharmacy, I know that that's going to lower my heart rate and help me come back down and get on a level to do my best.
Yeah, and when you're doing those breathing, like the breathing exercises, you can breathe, like don't just extend your chest, but like all the way down into your stomach. It makes a huge difference.
Yes.
Too. You can get that.
Yes. And like with that too, I would say that another really helpful thing when I'm doing my breathing is I close my eyes and I visualize my run or my performance or whatever I'm about to go do. And I always visualize for success. And if for a minute the devil or your brain lets you have a bad thought or you picture your run going bad, you stop it right there and you back it up, like hit the rewind switch and you play it again and you play it with success. And you play it over and over and over with that success and you will replicate that success. Your brain is so powerful. So never underestimate the power of believing in yourself and being mentally ready to win. It's just as important as the physical and the practicing. The practicing you do physically, your muscle memory, so important. But the practice, you need to build you a mind gym and you need to practice in your head too. You need to practice at home going through that run, needing to be 5.9 at Manhattan, Kansas. And you need to believe when you show up and it's time to be that 5.9, you've already made that run 10 times in your head. You've already made that run 10 times in the practice pen. You are ready to go make that perfect run.
I love that. I agree with that 100%. That's awesome. Kinley, do you have another question? No? Okay. Charlotte, what have you learned?
I've learned that you need to focus on you and your horse instead of what everyone else does.
For sure.
Good answer. We talk about that a lot, don't we? Charlotte has a cute little pony named Miss May.
Oh, I love it.
Yes. Okay, what about the Foresters? Looks like there's a couple of you there. What have you guys learned? Being shy?
What did you learn? What you learn?
No. I don't know.
I think she probably learned that it's okay to be nervous.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. So insider trading about Sage.
I want to
Kimzey.
do it.
I'm going to tell you guys a Sage secret. Sage, when Sage's nerves get up, he yawns. And you'll see him do it now. The next time you see him at a rodeo. When Sage is starting to get nervous, he does it every night at the NFR, like clockwork. You'll see it. And I think part of it is his deep.
Oh, we lost it. Did you know that when you yawn, part of it is because you're lacking oxygen?
Okay. Is it back?
Yep.
This dumb thing. So, sorry, I live in the boonies and our internet is terrible. But it's really beautiful. And we actually, so Will's fun new adventure is he's managing a rodeo company. He's managing the best rodeo company. He says Will is managing Championship Pro Rodeo. It's a PRCA rodeo company. We have close to 80 head of bucking horses here at the house. And like no neighbors, no anything. It's us and the cows and the horses. So
you guys, congratulations.
yeah, it's super fun, but no internet.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Well, does anybody else have any last questions? Nothing? Okay, well, Dusta, thank you so much. Do you have any other little tidbits before we sign off for the night?
Thank you.
What's that? We have a question. She's gone again. That's pretty cool. Now they have their own rodeo company, bucking horses, all this stuff. Okay, you're back.
I'm back. I don't know. I give up at this point. I don't know. I'm glad it worked for most of it.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have any other last little tidbits, or does Will have anything that he suggests?
One of mine would be to keep your circle of people and your friends tight, because you will become who you run with. And so run with champions, run with people with the same goals as you, the same like-minded purpose in life as you, and that's really going to elevate your game to the next level. Iron sharpens iron. And so if you will keep your circle of friends tight and keep people around you that want you to do better and want you to have success, that will help you immensely in every area of your life, whether you are studying or rodeoing or whatever it is. Keep your circle of people where they want you to win. And that's huge in life. So yeah, that's one thing. Will, do you have any advice?
Mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese, he says.
Mac and cheese. Lots of microwave.
Terrible.
Huh?
Here, I'll show you guys the bucking horses if you want. There's some of them up here. We're going on an adventure. It's field trip time. We're starting to get our house put together. It's kind of fun. We moved into a 1920s farmhouse when we moved up here. So it's been kind of.
Oh, I'm losing her again. We're losing you again. Can you guys see her? I can hear her, but I can't see her. Dusta, can you hear us? I was hoping Will would have something to say. He's got lots of stories, being a bullfighter and a pickup man. And you guys heard of Tim O'Connell, the bareback rider? That's his brother. There's just a lot of really cool things going on around me. We'll get her back on here and then call it a night. You guys all been practicing a lot? And all your horses in shape, rodeo in a bunch? Good. All right, she's back in. Now you're back. You're still muted. There we go.
Now I'm unmuted. Okay, so this is like off my back porch. These are my pretties back here.
That's beautiful. Are you going to start raising bulls too?
Oh gosh, no. So the bulls live at the partner's house, and we just have to take care of the horses, thank goodness.
Nice.
So yes, it's very, very nice.
Cool. Does Will do any bullfighting anymore?
Will is picking up a little bit, but he's mostly doing this. He flanks for the rodeo company. He sets up rodeos. He right now we're having babies, not us, but the horses. So that's super fun. You can look on my Facebook or Instagram, and you can go to Championship Pro Rodeo, and I've posted pictures of all of our baby buck and colts so far, and so that's kind of our newest grand adventure. Really fun, but really a lot of work. So we stay really, really busy, but it's pretty good time.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. You're full of so much valuable information, and the things that you and your family have done and will, and the entertainment industry and the rodeo industry and the Western lifestyle are just, it's amazing. And it takes people just like Dusta who, you know, people often overlook the entertainment value of rodeo, but rodeo at the end of the day, those big performances are paid for because they're entertainment. And so if there's a local rodeo that comes to your town, don't try to cheat your way in, you know, pay for those tickets and go let those people like Dusta or whoever's performing, let them know, like find your way to the back of the chute and tell them great job and ask them for a nugget of information, because they want to see you guys be successful. And they're the kind of people that you want in your corner, and we have to support them so that we can continue having these rodeos, awesome events, and living this lifestyle that we love so much.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Well, thank you very much. And we'll be sending you a little care package here soon. So we will.
All right. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Good night.
You bet. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.